Hello friends and welcome to another support spotlight. Today we're going to talk about Zeus support. Mostly position 4, though some people have been playing position 5. I'm not such a huge fan of that because he is a greedy support, which is kind of why he's good in pubs where your games tend to go very long. He scales great because he used to be a core, but it's kind of bad for pubs because it's so greedy, because you need your team to flex a little bit, pick initiators on their off lane, stuff like that. So it's up to you whether you decide you want to play Zeus or not, but I think it's a lot of fun. I do think it is legitimately good. Now that I've seen it, I've tried it out. I was wrong when I read the patch. I didn't think it would be enough to bring him back, but here we are, and so let's get into it. Now, actually, let's talk about that real quick. If you want to know why Zeus is back as a support, 2 changes. Salve change. Zeus as a support has very spammable spells, and they do a lot of damage, but they're very expensive. So he can output a lot of damage, and then they would just salve up. And then it's like, well, that sucks because they just spent 110 gold countering my 6 mangoes or however much mana you had spent, and then you're useless because you have no more mana and they're full health, and now you just stand there in the lane. It's very awkward. But now the salve is a lot worse for supports to use on their cores. So in a way, he's still countered by salves, but because salves are just, the carry has to buy them, at least if they do salve up and they heal up and you used all your mana, that carry just spent 100 of their own gold, and so you are slowing them down. So that's a lot better for him. Then this Heavenly Jump change, which in a previous patch used to be Static Field and became Heavenly Jump, they have increased the duration of this ability from 1 second to 1.6 seconds at level 1, which means that you have what used to be your level 2 Heavenly Jump, now at level 1. So it's a lot better, and actually I didn't realize this gave 100 attack slow and 100% move slow, which is actually incredible. So this has become a lot better for aggressive plays and not just as an escape. So Zeus support, that's why it's back. Let's talk about the skill build. So it's pretty straightforward to start. You're going to do something like this most of the time. Lightning Bolt does that high damage for mana cost that we just talked about, and it's 6 seconds. So you use it once, 125 damage, maybe not the end of the world. But if you're playing aggressive, let's say they were out of position, you're lightning bolting, hitting them, chasing them, lightning bolt again, chase them, maybe you can even use lightning bolt one more time. So that's like 375 magic damage in the span of about 12 seconds. That's quite a lot. That's where that aggressive potential comes from. And so we want to level this up 2 points as quickly as we can, because then that becomes 600 damage within 12 seconds. That's pretty crazy. Now, you're not just going to spam this out in the laning stage because it's so expensive. You do want to harass with right clicks. You have very good base stats, good armor, move speed, and attack damage. So do a little bit of harass when you're full on mana, throw out a lightning bolt, sure, but don't spam it too much. You want to have enough mana to throw out that burst of spells when you are going to go aggressive, which is why you also take Heavenly Jump at level 2. So let's actually cover the defensive purpose first, because that's actually more important. So do not ever casually use Heavenly Jump, just like, haha, I'm going to harass you. Do not do that. It's terrible, because this spell is 25 seconds, and Zeus's greatest weakness as a support was how easy it was to die, because all you do is walk around. You had no mobility, you had no escapes, you don't really have a stun, you have like that mini stun. All you do is output damage. But with this Heavenly Jump, you now have a mobility spell, and so this is what allows you to escape. You leap away 500 distance, which also, actually that was last patch, but that's also helpful, and you then slow them. So this is your guaranteed escape. It's not actually guaranteed, but it's mostly guaranteed against any hero that doesn't have some kind of blink, or like Weaver, who has super move speed. Those kind of heroes, they might still catch up to you. Against almost everyone else, Heavenly Jump is pretty much a get out of jail for free card. So as long as you have this, you can play fairly aggressively and you aren't worried about dying. You can use it aggressively though, either to chase, or if you're not moving and you use it, you're stationary, so you don't have to like position yourself too far. However, you'll still hit them with 25 damage, totally meaningless really, not actually, but we're not thinking about this for damage. It is the slow. It is such a powerful slow for 1.6 seconds, and the attack slow means that they don't trade as well with you. Maybe they throw out spells, but they can't like right click with you when you're going aggressive. So this combo here is what allows you to get these early game kills and to play aggressively and annoyingly without actually dying and just feeding. So this is pretty much what you want to start with. Now you might see some Some pros get Heavenly Jump first. You would do this if you were just about to feed First Blood, like they surprised you and you wanted to get away, Heavenly Jump away. Or if your team is actually the one going for the aggressive potential, Lightning Bolt has a mini stun, but this is much longer and allows you to reposition, maybe even jump in front for body blocks. So if your team is going for First Blood, you might take Heavenly Jump if no one else your team has stuns and stuff, but I don't know why you're going for First Blood if no one else on your team really has those. So for the most part, take Lightning Bolt because you can use it to secure range creeps, you can use it for harass, all of that. Heavenly Jump, much better at level 2. If you do end up taking it at level 1, just play the lane with your right clicks. Don't plan on spamming this out or anything. Now from here, you are going to max Lightning Bolt. This is just the high damage ability. It allows you to de-ward. It is very useful to, well, you don't really lower the cooldown, but you just want to level it up because at level 1, you do get the de-warding, all of that, the utility, the mini stun, but this damage to mana cost ratio is what is so good for support Zeus. You come in and I'm going to use that 12-second period again, you do 350 damage 3 times. Over 1,000 magic damage in 12 seconds, so long as you have enough mana. So you do have to have a relatively full mana pool. You can't play at like low manas and expect for kills, but that's just kind of like what the hero is. Now, a lot of people at level 4 take a second point in Heavenly Jump to increase the slow duration, decrease the cooldown. The mana cost is not significant. The damage, not that significant either. It's mostly about that cooldown and duration. You can take Arc Lightning at level 4. It kind of depends on the game. So if your team has some mid laner who's going to be super active, they're going to go jungle, and you get to take over a lane, then you might want to take Arc Lightning to start farming a little bit better and scaling up, getting more gold, last hits. If you are the one who's just going to continue to play very aggressively while you have some, like, I don't know, Alchemist farming. I don't know if Alchemist and Zeus sound amazing on the same team. Actually, a pro team did it recently, so maybe it's fine. But anyways, if you have some like jungling mid laner who's pretty greedy, then 2 points in Heavenly Jump will allow you to be more aggressive with your off laner, the other support, I don't know who. Whereas Arc Lightning, yeah, it adds more damage, but it is more mana you gotta pump out in that same period of time, which is very difficult for support Zeus because you're not getting the same farm as core Zeus. You don't have as many mana regen items, things like that. So even if you do take Arc Lightning, you're really only going to use it when you have to. You do want to stay like closer to full mana because like when this fight breaks out, I'm using this 3 times in 12 seconds. I'm using this, I don't know, I can't do that math, like 5+ times, something like that. So as you can imagine, the mana cost really adds up. So you do have to be careful with your spell usages as Zeus. Now from here, ult every level you get. Now if let's say you're doing a build like this, if you think you have room to farm, I think it's fine to max Arc Lightning because that'll help you push out waves. It's very good against summon heroes. If the enemy is like really shoving in your lanes, it's your job just to defend lanes, buy time, then Arc Lightning, more levels will help you do that. If you are continuing to play very aggressive, then you might just max Heavenly Jump first to get this very powerful slow at a much lower cooldown and a much longer duration. Fantastic if you're playing that aggressive style, and people will even skip Arc Lightning until they max these 2 abilities. So it really depends how you plan to play. I have been doing something kind of like this myself, and I think in your pub games where you get to farm a bit more, this is probably looking pretty good. It's hard to get your team to constantly play aggressive. You maybe don't need Heavenly Jump at such a low cooldown. I will leave it up to you though. I just wanted to point out both of those. For now, let's say, well, I do think ideally you would be like an aggressive support during this time rather than a farming support. I think 1 point in Arc Lightning, probably decent enough to push out waves and then just use your auto attacks for the rest. So I do like something like this. Sorry, I probably would take your level 10 talent, which is 1.25 mana regen, just because I've said it so many times, you need a lot of mana as support Zeus. I have seen some people take move speed though, just to be a more mobile hero because you're not really buying mobility items as support Zeus. You're kind of buying mana regen, core damage items. So having more utility to like run around the fight and stuff is useful, especially if you've gotten a good neutral item or you have a teammate who's providing a lot of regen, like a Crystal Maiden, then maybe you can skip this level 10 talent. But in many cases, I think it's safe to pick this talent up. For 15, 350 health, if you're getting burst a lot, killed a lot, you are sometimes jumping in aggressively, so this health helps a lot, especially if the enemy has heroes that jump you. You know, you're a backline support, you just want to do a lot of damage. If you're dying, you don't get to do that, so the health will help you stay alive. Now, if you are feeling perfectly safe, no one has killed you once, then Heavenly Jump target, you know, we've been talking about how great the slow is. Let's hit 2 people with it. Fantastic. So really either one of these is good depending on the game. If you're not sure, you could default to health. Level 20, as a support, I really believe the mini stun talent is a lot better because this almost becomes a stun at that point. I don't know if it says the mini stun duration here. It doesn't. But 0.4 builds up when you are using Lightning Bolt every 6 seconds, when you are getting the Nimbus, which is going to cast Lightning Bolt. So I like this a lot, and then it combines with this level 25 talent, which I believe should be the 325 AoE Lightning Bolt, so you can mini-stun a whole group of enemies all at once, plus do a ton of damage. So for talents, this is what I like, and then let's just round out the build then, something like this. So all your talents, there you go. Or like I said, do Arc Lightning first if you choose, and then the jumps after that. That was a lot on the skill build, but items are a lot more straightforward, so we're not going to have as much to talk about anyways. Starting items, there is some flexibility, same with the early game items. So it really comes down to what you have to think about 2 things. 1, what are you going to build later on? And 2, what are you planning to do in the lane? Because we have talked about how you can get kills by spamming out your spells real quick. If that's going to be the case, you're going to need mangoes, and you're going to want like a stack of 3 of them or something. So if that's your plan, you're going to need a lot of mangoes. Now, if you're just like laning, you know, just kind of getting by, you don't expect to get a lot of kills, but you're going to try to be annoying, then a lot of stats is very nice because you already have good right clicks, and now you can just right click harass, or because you have short range, you don't want to go too far, put yourself in danger. You know, you don't want half to use Heavenly Jump. Then just go for denies with like 70 base damage as a support is really good. Sorry, not 70, but like, you know, as you get stats, as you level up, it's good. It's comparable to the cores. So get a couple stats, and then you can like buy a quick null talisman, which is very nice for support Zeus. Just like 1, maybe 2. And in fact, if you want to do 2, you can then like go double circlet, something like that if you feel you need to. Less common, if you think it's a really good Bassi lane, you have an let's say like Underlord who also just wants to spam out spells, you could go for a very fast like Bassi, do something like this, maybe grab a couple mangoes as well, maybe get a stick if you need to. Just a bunch of Iron Branches is also a very safe build, you know, like 3 or 4 of them, because you're just going to do a lot of right clicks, and then you're going to do, you know, the spells as needed when you finally decide it's time to go for a kill, or like, oh shit, they're going to kill me, let me throw out a bunch of spells, you know? So you can get by with just like a lot of stats. I think the common mistake of people would be to like constantly be buying claries and using their spell off cooldown every chance they get. That's not really the point. Or it's not really the way you want to play 100% of the time. You want to do a lot with your right clicks as Zeus, and then just like casually harass with your spells as needed, keeping a relatively full mana pool, and then spamming out after you've whittled them down to like half health. It's very similar to a Skywrath, who will use his W to casually harass, get those right clicks in, and then when it's time to get a kill, you spam out your very low cooldown abilities. So Zeus will be very similar, and so that's why I kind of like the other build we had up here before, something like this, and then like, you know, pick up a sentry if you need to, something like that. Zeus doesn't love to go contest camps. I mean, you can steal them with Arc Lightning if you pick that up, but although you have Heavenly Jump, you're still, you know, you're not the strongest in a 1v1 direct matchup, so I like to block the camp so I don't have to worry about that. You don't need it for your own unblocking because you have Lightning Bolt. Which is, by the way, I'll throw this out before I forget to say it. Something you can do at the start of the game, you can Lightning Bolt for the classic starting wards. Just start off with a great D ward. Fantastic. All right, anyways, early game. So 1 null talisman, maybe a Bassi, maybe a wand. I wouldn't necessarily buy all of these. I would probably get at least 1, if not 2 of these. Like, probably definitely a wand and like a null or a Bassi. And then you can throw in your brown boots somewhere in here too. If you're staying in the lane a lot, you can get the boots a little later. And if you plan on roaming around a little more, get the boots a little earlier. But after your early game, this is going to be your core item set. You're going to get the arcane boots, then you're going to get your shard, and then you're going to get the aghanims. There is flexibility for this, but the idea behind this is that the arcane boots, along with backpacking your stuff, will give you a lot of mana to work with, give your team a lot of mana to work with. Great. The shard just increases your output damage so much. 9% of their current HP every time you hit them with an ability. You, by default, have 4 abilities. Your Arc Lightning, Lightning Bolt, Heavenly Jump, and then the Thunder God's Wrath. The math gets weird because it's current HP and each spell is doing damage. So it's hard for me to give you a general number, but especially once you pick up your aghanims and you get Nimbus, you have 5 active abilities. Plus, don't forget your abilities are low cooldown. You are just outputting crazy amounts of damage with the shard and your abilities. So that's why the shard's been extremely common to pick up. Zeus is just like some vision utility plus high damage output. That is his role in the game if you're picking him as a support. And then after that, you want the aghanims because it gives you another spell to add to your damage. But the utility on this thing is crazy because it's global. You can use it to cancel TPs, channels, all sorts of stuff like that. Push out waves very safely where you're going top, push out the bottom, things like that. Or you can be like defending bottom for your team while they're pushing top, and you can still contribute with Nimbus and your ultimate. So aghanims, extremely common pickup. So I really like going these. You can buy these other items too, though, as a replacement or after this build. So for example, Aether Lens lets you cast from further away, your Q and your W to stay safe, helps you with mana regen. Great. You don't have to have it. I have gone by without this quite often. I see a lot of people get Ghost Scepter because Zeus just puts out so much damage. You have to deal with him. The enemy comes, tries to kill you. Ghost Scepter helps you stay alive, and later builds into E-Blade, which helps you put out even more damage if you get to that point. So that can be a nice build as well. Force Staff to help with your mobility. I know you have Heavenly Jump, but extra mobility never really hurt. And you are a support, so if you have to help your team out with classic support items, it wouldn't kill you to grab a Force Staff if it's a good game for it. Veil of Discord can also be an early game purchase, especially if you bought this Ring of Bassi, but not every game is great for Veil. It really depends. You are fantastic with Veil, but really look at your cores. How much magic damage are they doing? Is it better to just get like a shard or an aghanim, something like that? Keep that in mind. And in the late game, the classic refreshers, Zeus abilities, and the Octarine building from the Aether Lens to help with your mana pool, your cooldowns, all that. These are all very good items. Feel free to grab other things if you think you need them, but ideally you're playing greedy and you're going for things you want like this. On real quick for neutral items, literally just take anything that gives you mana. So Keen Optic, Arcane Ring, Trusty Shovel, Tumbler's Toy. Those are all, and Fairy's Trinket. Those are all tier 1 items. If none of those are available, go for stats. Things like the Pig Pole, the Ocean's Heart, which does have mana regen if you're in the river, things like that. And then the same as you get to tier 2, right? Anything with magic regen or mana regen, Bullwhip, Essence Ring, Arcane Ring, all that stuff. If not, fall to stats. The Van Brace is quite nice because you get that extra spell amp, so that's good too. Really just rinse and repeat as you go down. I just want mana and all that. Having said that, as you get down to these really cool ones in the tier 4, tier 5, think a bit more about the utility because at that point you probably have quite a few items. You're probably not struggling with mana as much, and now it becomes, I'm getting silenced every fight. Maybe I need a Dispel. Then you want Witchbane or Stormcrafter. So in these first tiers, I just focus on mana regen and mana pool, and then as I go from there, it's more utility focused. But of course, if you can get the mana regen, great. Okay, that is it for this one. Already a bit long, I know. We didn't have as many clips of how to play Zeus, so if you're wondering where that is this time, this video is coming out on Monday, which is tomorrow for me, but it's today for you if you're watching this. I will be streaming Zeus games if we get position 4, so come check it out live on Twitch if you're free. If you're not free, don't worry, because after we get a couple good games, I'm going to talk through those games and then upload that probably on Tuesday. So if you're from the future, you might already have access to both those videos. Boop, the links are somewhere. I will have them in the description, whatever. But I will have those examples and play-by-play explanation of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it in those videos rather than in this one. So that is it. Thanks for watching. Go try out Zeus. He's a ton of fun. Don't blame me if you get reported, though. That is not on me.